of these would sync up really nicely. And it is a Rakan that we haven't seen in a very long time in League of Legends.
Yeah, it has only been picked once in Demacia Cup thus far. It was played by Ming, obviously on RNG, and I think an interesting thing about this champion, and he's the only champion I've seen that can pick up the Shirelia's battle song. Obviously, for people who don't know, that's just like the new Shirelia's Reverie. It's still just very much based on movement speed and granting movement speed to your teammates, which for a champion like Rakan, who wants to get in the thick of things, feels quite nice. So we have two, I'd say, once again, we've said it all series long, very distinct drafts. The thing
if JDG can do it, or if we go to that game 5. V5, a team that has always relied on this Zoe pick from Mole, and now that he's got it, let's see what he can do with it, going up against xiye here on his new team of JDG. A lot to look forward to here in this game for the Demacia Championship as we run live into game number 4 and on to Summoner's Rift.
V5, Jgl.
We had Gyos yesterday.
Hey, where's the JDG Jgl? We gotta give balance.
True. I have heard that there may be actually a live audience for this coming up as well. So we'll see. That's maybe secret. I don't know if I've just gotten fired or not, but that's the rumor. JDG heading up towards the top side. Kanavi's here with Zoom. And just note that it is a Conqueror on the Nidalee, so no Electrocute, no Dark Harvest. Just going for the sustain and heal. Across the board, nothing else super different, apart from the Spellbook Zoe that we've been seeing a little bit more when we've seen Zoes here in Demacia Championship.
We've primarily been seeing the Electrocute once again. That is like the primary Zoe rune that I think we've seen most Zoes take, and is primarily taken in solo queue these days. But Mole gonna go for the option that offers more utility, offers a lot more, later on in the game, being able to switch between those summoners. I guess for your composition, when you already have so much damage, with the Samira, with the Olaf, not really needing to double down on that Electrocute, and the fact that, right, this isn't a lane where we expect a solo kill to come out from either side. It's a lot just about answering waves back and forth. We've already painted the picture that a lot of Zoe's aggressive trading patterns will come off the drop she gets from her W, so Mole just playing a lot more of a wave clear role early on, and we are going back to the V5 special where it's a comp that's meant to enable Weiwei. Now the question is, can V5 do it, or can Kanavi find the same advantage that he did last time?
Because heading up towards the top side right now is Weiwei, where he's gone from essentially wolf start to now blue buff. So an interesting starting path here for the jungler of V5. Well, Kanavi's doing pretty standard stuff. He started on blue there, went to Gromp, now moving his way up the top side of the map.
I mean, both junglers just doing full jungle clears, pretty standard for both of these junglers who, again, have such a great first clear on both sides. So both going to path to the opposite side of the map, respectively. Langx maybe potentially trying to get a bounce back so he can be in a safe position. If not, Kanavi has the option to look for a gank top side.
As ppgod. Look at this early roam lyric. Level 2 here on the Alistar. Going to be spotted out by a ward, but does put a little bit of pressure on xiye, who has to move back in this lane because of it.
And it's always great to see timings like this at 250 because, right, you're forcing the Orianna to play a bit more scared. That scuttle timing coming up in about, less than 15, a bit more than 15 seconds right now. Going to secure that for Weiwei quite easily. And, right, we just expect both junglers to trade scuttles on the opposite side of the map. And for V5, obviously their first massive spike is going to be level 6 once we get the Ragnarok coming out. This bot lane is going to have a lot of all-in power with the Unbreakable and not Inferno Trigger. Whatever trigger Samira has as her ultimate name. Oh, it is Inferno Trigger?
Right. It is
I didn't want to get
Trigger.
it mixed up with the Dante's one. But
yeah,
point is,
you're right. Hey, it's okay. I've done the same already. Ignite place in the bottom lane. We've got a bit of an engage there. Extends the duration of the knock-up as ppgod gets stunned up for a second, or rather burnt down pretty heavily. LvMao and LokeN win out this trade handedly. Level 3 versus now level 3 on Y4, but that was beautiful to watch.
Devil's Trigger, that's what that one's called.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make that. So, but the point is, V5's comp, first massive spike will be level 6. We obviously know JDG's is going to come a bit later than that, right? We want some items out onto our Orianna. I feel like Zoom going to become a massive threat once he gets that Gore Drinker, as we've seen Aatrox really take over a lot of games. One that sticks in my mind, because we obviously casted it, was Xiaolahu's Aatrox, once he
Yeah.
got that Gourd Drinker, almost able to kind of single-handedly take over the game against top esports.
It was, you know, a really good debut performance from a player who'd never played competitive League of Legends before. Demacia Championship. And Zoom's been laning really well so far in this tournament, so you can see already he's got a bit of a CS advantage over the Ornn to be expected, as Zoom is getting closer towards level 6. Gourd Drinker has just been the only go-to, considering that the sustain on Aatrox is ridiculously stupid. Across, speaking of items. Yeah, go.
Thinking about how these drafts interact, one thing that is nice about this Rakan pick, right, is kind of his interactions with Samira on the opposite side. Samira jumps in the fight. You have Rakan ultimate to, you know, pop in, stop the channel of that ult, and your team should be easily able to burst her out. Rakan obviously really good both offensively and defensively with his CC. Obviously a lot of mobility with your E, so I think a lot in later team fights is going to be up to LvMao, which, again, when you're potentially the best support in LPL, I feel like putting that pressure onto LvMao should feel great for JDG. Definitely a player who can handle it.
Also, the ability to really proc the second skin with the CC for the Kai'Sa too. It's a combination we've seen with the IG bottom lane at Worlds in 2018. I believe, you know, FPX's bottom lane as well played it quite a lot with Crisp and LWX. So it's a pairing that we've seen quite a lot in recent memory, and something that syncs really, really nicely. They got better trades on the bottom lane as well, and you can see already with Halo Blades, you know, the Kai'Sa keeping up with Samira and Kanavi even coming in now. The little grand entrance doesn't hit Y4, so he's safe.
That's just another thing about Rakan, right? One of the stronger laning supports in a lot of these tank matchups. Obviously doesn't do too well into Leona, though that is a very contested matchup, you know, based on public and pro opinion.
ppgod flashes up, holds the extended airborne, and Y4. Alright, well, LokeN flash, but for ppgod's flash, that's fair.
Yeah, definitely worth for the side of V5, and now we're going to see Weiwei turn to this dragon, and we know, right, Olaf is one of these champions who's just great at stacking these early dragons, so V5 going to opt into this route. They do have a bit more strength early game, as we pointed out. We said the level 6 spike was where they wanted to come online, and hey, look, Mole's picking up 6 now, Langx's already 6. We're just waiting on maybe 2 more waves from that bot lane for them to hit the same level.
So Dragon going over to Weiwei in the meanwhile. I'll also note that with Kanavi being 6-2, he's getting close towards that first item. Night Harvest was talked about really nicely in the first game. The last game. So seeing it come through as early as it did, maybe we get a chance to see it once more. As the Hextech Alternate is going to give a lot of damage on that spear. ppgod's on the move, Luke. He's going places, but I'm not sure if this is a place you want to be.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's not going places that any of his teammates want him to go either, especially
True.
Mole looking for the recall, so I'm kind of confused what the timing was for this play. Obviously, Weiwei had hoped he'd been able to get that scuttle, but we look at top lane, Langx also getting pushed in. Of course, this is a matchup where Aatrox should do quite well against the Ornn once you get past the early levels. He also has the Phage ready, so a bit of offensive damage, but
LvMao taken away. Flashes away from Call the Forge God. It's re-engaged to use onto LvMao. LvMao needs to battle dance away, and he does so correctly. As the spear connects on the back line. AD carry 1 versus 1, and it's time to whirl the blade. Inferno Trigger needs one more Q. I think that's the next unique cooldown to be used, but LokeN dodges away. It wasn't in range. It was the melee version. So Y4 can't ulti in time.
Yep, and let's remember, Samira does do additional magic damage when she is in melee range and uses her sword rather than her gun, so really good in those up-close and personal fights, as we just saw. But still, a lot of summoners burnt out from the side of JDG. V5 doing a nice job at chaining their CCs in the top side, forcing that flash out from LvMao. But JDG aren't going to give up this Herald without a fight.
No, they're not. Zoom has World Ender available and Phage in the back pocket. V5 are grouping up. We have 4 members. Y4 not here just yet, but Weiwei's getting low. Flashes away from the Javelin Toss while this World Ender is going to come in nice and handy. ppgod is burning down as well. He's only level 5. Zoom still on the chase versus 2 members while Rift Herald getting zoned out. Its aggro is held for now, and the smite will come through as well from Kanavi. So well done from JDG. They steal it away, and they pull up that objective.
And this is what happens when you're missing a lot of impactful ultimates on the side of V5. And you mentioned that World Ender coming out, Zoom really kind of changing the way the fight went. Of course, Weiwei also getting chunked out early on. had to flash away from the Rift Herald, especially with LvMao going in and igniting him. Y4 was on his way up first, was almost at the fight in time, but sadly wasn't. Maybe had V5 been a bit more patient with starting the Herald, that could have worked out a bit better for them. But ultimately, JDG going to be the ones to pick up the objective. They also do have a bit of a gold lead. And when we've mentioned things like, hey, you know, V5's comp has the tools to start getting ahead early, JDG's doesn't come online until a bit later, it feels like you're in a good spot as JDG, though I don't want to discredit the fact that, hey, V5 do have the tools to fight later on. We do have the Ornn items. We do have a Samira, who, again, is great once she gets those 2 items and gets into the thick of things. But that's also when most of JDG's champions come online.
Also remember that for V5, the roles change, right? You got the frontliner in Ornn, but Weiwei, his damage doesn't mean too much at that point in the game, but still acts as that frontliner alongside ppgod as well, with core damage outlet from Mole and Y4. And Everfrost going to be used. Somehow Zoe picks that up as well. Just the usual, as ppgod's been pretty active. Lyric, I want to bring the conversation back a little bit while we are almost at the first item point. There is a mention that while that fight went on, LokeN was picking up farm, and he's pretty close to his mythic, but it seems like he will be going for Manamune first instead of the Kraken Slayer that we've seen most of the time. Do I have time to talk about that? I'm not sure. But it's interesting to see the diversity in item builds.
No, especially with the fact that, again, we haven't seen much action happen in this bottom lane, so feeling like he has the time to get that more of a scaling item and, again, work towards either the Kraken Slayer or the Gale Force. Next, you would expect the Kraken Slayer for the amount of front lines coming out on the side of E5.
Yep, after the Manamune comes through here for LokeN. ppgod trying to use the Hex Flash once again. He finally hits 6, so Unbreakable Will is available. And while we're having a chat there, it was Kanavi who kept trying to pressure off Langx of the turret, but he didn't end up using the Rift Herald. Goes back to farming while Langx going to be using his TP in the meanwhile back to that top lane. So we still got to wait and see where that objective is placed down from JDG's jungle.
With Dragon coming up very shortly, you would expect it to be placed in either mid or bot. We do see LvMao making his way towards mid now, but I think getting some gold, continuing to accelerate your Kai'Sa could definitely be the right move for JDG.
Alright, Dragon coming up right now. Kanavi with a level lead, crucially, and 23 CS over Weiwei. This Nidalee is pretty bonkers huge. And with Dragon spawning, no one's biting it for now.
Well, also, I think JDG are taking it patiently because Zoom's TP wasn't up. It's actually just coming up right now.
True.
So JDG can look to start this one off and look for the numbers advantage fight. Of course, Langx can always cancel that with the Call of the Forgegon, so we would expect Zoom to back off quite far under his turret before he looks for a play like this.
Pings are going down though, so now JDG, the confidence you mentioned, a really good spot there. Lyric, level 10 versus level 9. Langx using the TP before he's big. And with a 50 CS lead on Zoom, he's going to be more impactful. So Langx wants to keep him in lane. Call the Forge God used. World Ender as well. That's a key ultimate before the fight comes out. But still, JDG want to go through. Quickness used. Killer Instinct with the bop back. Mole is just dead after LokeN bops him once. 400 gold for the first blood. And now the Javelin tosses commence with Kanavi setting #1 up on ppgod. LvMao wants the follow-up. Presses W, and everything is complete. A great headbutt pulverized, but I think the whole team is dead until the Inferno trigger comes in. It's wild rush time for Y4 as he brings the fight right back.
And Y4 stepping up once again, and he is not finished.
Triple kill for a Samira. That is deep doo-doo.
And we mentioned this earlier on. Y4 has stepped up already in the group stage, carried some games himself, and, you know, bringing back some memories that, hey, this guy used to be the kind of stand-in for Uzi on that RNG roster. So great to see Y4 having some better performances in this Demacia Cup than I felt like he had in LPL Summer. And V5 showing the power of Samira, why she is the most banned AD carry, even if she isn't the most picked. But we start off this fight with JDG once again showing that they are so good at coordinating some of these engages. Really love seeing LokeN on the Kai'Sa following up with LvMao. And then here, we're going to see ppgod land such a great headbutt pulverized combo. It looked like it was over, but we see Y4 stack up the style points, gets the Inferno trigger, and of course, when you get kills, your dash does reset, so able to get a lot of benefit off that. And right now, everyone is on the Y4 hype train. Immortal Shield Bow picked up.
It feels like Aphelios is just haunting me again. I don't know about you, but a 3-0 Samira. We're doing the dance. And Samira's definitely enjoying her time. Gold lead's still in JDG's favor, but V5 have kept this game in a very good spot for them. And the carry that we talked about, who matches that scaling, who is definitely a key damage source in the late game, has a lot to her name. So right now, 80 carry difference there for Y4, and for V5, they managed to get the objective after the fact, heading towards the Infernal Soul. 2 dragons already in their back pocket.
Yeah, and this just made it even more clear that we were going to see V5 play around their bot lane, which we already expected when we saw Langx on the Ornn in the top side. So right now, for JDG, you have a strong top laner. It's about abusing that advantage your Aatrox has. For V5, it is the complete opposite in playing with your Samira Alistar combo.
Engage here from top side. Meanwhile, though, Zoom is going to push this one in. While Herald could be the next objective for Kanavi, just to get one of those outer turrets down. I'm interested to see what V5 do as a response, because Weiwei's on this bottom side. There's a good cross-map play if he can start stealing away some of those camps and maybe threatening xiye off mid-turret.
And we do see they're looking for the aggressive plays. The Hex Flash comes in, but not able to find anything. And Weiwei forcing out LvMao.
What happens next? ppgod dodging away from the javelin.
Oh, Zoom!
Oh yeah, this flank. World Ender. He's level 11, Lyric. But is he going to go in? He waits for the brush, and this is going to be AoE heaven. But remember, Y4's the one we have to watch as quickness comes in. He locks down the Samira in the backline. This is AoE heaven, but Samira again. Infinity interrupted. Zoom has done everything there, and Mole's running for his life. A double kill already for Kai'Sa, and now it's knock-up paradise after AoE heaven. We're definitely having Christmas cheers here if you're a JDG fan.
And this goes back to us saying that JDG just have a better understanding of the fundamentals. V5 looking for an aggressive play in JDG's bot side jungle, but guess what? JDG are the team with TP advantage. Zoom always been a great user of the teleport, and it doesn't matter how much Y4 can pop off on this Samira. It is a 5v4, and JDG are going to win big off that play.
Because, Lyric, you know, that was the Samira ult 2.0, right? He was going to get everyone if Zoom didn't interrupt it.
Yeah, but again, ultimately, this is a numbers advantage for the side of JDG. Doesn't feel like realistically there should be a way for them to lose out on this. We do see him going in with that ultimate, but like you pointed out, it is canceled. He was already low HP, so it felt like JDG were going to finish him off no matter what. And Zoom, knowing he's tanky enough, he has sustained to keep going forward, and they do get 4 kills for the side of JDG.
4 assists in the back pocket of Zoom after that play. A 3k gold lead just about. V5 are hitting up on the Herald on the top side, while the setup for vision control now a priority for JDG around this next dragon. 3rd dragon coming up, it is Infernal, and Lyric, is this what we talked about? You know, 3rd, 4th dragon was the potential here for a team like JDG, and what happens because of it?
Yeah, definitely what their comp wants to fight around, 3rd Drake, and it also goes back to what we were seeing a lot at Worlds, right, where we started to see a lot more teams give away early Drakes and just trade it for incremental gold advantages, which is what it felt like JDG's plan was this time around, with playing more towards the top side, taking away camps, taking heralds, and V5 consistently being the team in the series who stack dragons, which is very characteristic of their successful formula in Summer Split.
Lyric, what do you see on items that makes you feel, you know, cheery, like you have a turkey in your belly? What there really gets you excited? Because I see a Proto Belt, I see a Hextech Rocket Belt, excuse me, on Kanavi, with a Magi's Soul Stealer. So he's got a massive lead in the jungle. Now he's got a lot of burst damage to go with it. We didn't see a spear land there, so we have to wait as Herald's placed down in the mid lane. And V5 are going to be successful in breaking open this outer through mid right before Dragon spawns.
With Langx getting pressure in the top lane, JDG will at least lose out on something. Zoom not able to go answer that because he doesn't have TP, but Langx using his TP early, I kind of like this because Ornn I don't think is really great on the flank, wants to be right in front of his team and his carries.
Wasn't here in the last fight.
Ooh, Mole.
Did 0 damage. Great trouble bubble as you saw there from Mole. The poke trying to come through, but JDG are not successful. They're not placing themselves in the middle of this. They're going to give over Soul Point over to V5. And try and find the engage on the way out. Weiwei might have to use Ragnarok, but the Infernal Chains was run out of. And JDG still looking for that pick. So they're going to go deep mid instead. This is ambitious.
I think it's a nice play from JDG for the fact that, again, they're able to cut them off from the mid wave if they just want to turn back in a force there.
Ragnarok not used yet. The poke from Javelin Toss again onto Langx. They're trying to find him. Infernal Chain Searing charged away from. Zoom still going in, and this is a re-engage from V5. Call the Forge God lands onto the Gore Drink of Zoom. He's going to start healing this one up as LvMao pops the ulti. Bellows Breath not used in time. It's a double knockup once again. But JDG, the Wombo, starting to fly through as Zoom gets dangerously low. ppgod able to absorb the damage as Y4 is heading head first. Chrono Trigger once again. Or Infernal Trigger, rather. It's a double for double, and V5 know that JDG's in trouble with LvMao on the way out. He wants to battle dance to someone, but he can't escape, and Mole has no matter, so he's just auto-attacking him to death. Samira plus Zoe equals Christmas Miracle.
Extremely close fights coming out from both teams. We saw Mole started off with picking off xiye at the start, and then I thought, hey, things aren't looking good for V5. Weiwei was extremely low. We're going to see this once again. The Call of the Forge God comes out. I thought the ultimate shouldn't be able to accomplish much, but right here we are going to see the pick from Mole come onto xiye in the back line. Does get him. But still, you have a very strong Aatrox in the front line, has a ton of sustain. I thought, hey, this might be too much for V5 to handle, but still, the Samira that you talked about follows up, and then Mole's famous Zoe kept picking up flashes, kept picking up summoners, kept walking forward, and this game is so damn close, and V5 sitting on Soul point for an Infernal Soul. We're once again at that point where, hey, the 23-minute mark in the game is going to decide it with one team fight. And this whole series has really been decided by the mechanical outplays, the setups going into these team fights.
That's why it's been so fun to watch. And seeing Mole Zoe do exactly that is what you'd expect. You know, Mole Zoe has been one of the best in 2020 summer. And even when they were in spring in the most losingest team in history, they relied on Mole Zoe, and it's great to see him performing well here with Y4 topping the gold charts. LokeN shortly behind. 80 carries going to be a big measure here in this fourth game, as it is 2 items for LokeN. Now with the Kraken Slayer, it is 1.5 with the Immortal Shield Bow, and building towards our second item here in what seems to be the Collector for Y4. Let's wait and see, Lyric, because JDG have river control, and it's in front of Baron. It's in front of this mid wave, where JDG won't get the pick, and they'll just reset.
Yeah, V5 being very cautious. We saw Mole was just answering the top wave. Of course, it had pushed that one out. So V5 not able to contest through mid into river, so they do just concede, which I think is fine. Right? We know this game right now is on a timer. We're playing for the next 2 minutes. We don't expect a lot of action to come through before then, unless maybe we see like a ppgod or LvMao going to the enemy jungle by themselves and look for vision. It's going to come down to a mistake. If not, we're just going to be bouncing waves back and forth, waiting for that next Drake. The only potential action is maybe seeing Zoom look for a solo kill on the Langx, but with ppgod and Weiwei hovering bot side, doesn't seem like that's going to be the case.
I'm going to be waiting a minute 30 though, Lyric. That Infernal Soul you've mentioned. It's important to note that, you know, with Mole Zoe now having Banshee's Veil, you know, maybe I start hoping that Zoe wins. You know, I'm a Zoe main and she's just so fun. People get so trolled by the bubble, and her voice lines are so cute when she sings about chocolate cake. LOL. She's super random but also smarter than she looks.
God.
Just like me. I'm sorry I had to do it. I've always wanted to do it, but LPL broadcast will never let me, so we're doing it here. The best copy pasta. Alright, let's move forward before I get fired from this broadcast. We're 3k ahead for JDG, dragging up in 50 seconds. And the Zoe mains are rejoicing for the magic pen that comes through from Zoom. He's got an Everfrost in the inventory and it's great CC chain. Remember, Everfrost all about that singular line down the middle to get that CC as he uses it down. And V5 priority in the river here with a bit of deep vision available for JDG.
We're going to start seeing some of the awkwardness, I feel like, from JDG's comp that we were mentioning earlier, right? Where you have, like, some parts of the composition that just want to run headlong into the fight. We think of seeing how LokeN's Kai'Sa went in earlier, thinking of the Aatrox Relic Disruption. But champions like Nidalee and Orianna wanting more of a formation, you know, wanting to play more from a range.
As there you go, there's a bit of impact from it. LvMao takes a big chunk. Lyric, do you see Zoom? World Ender available.
It would definitely be hard not to see Zoom. But, yeah, has the flank. Mole, though, playing some big angles, chunking LvMao down.
Has to
I think we need to keep our eyes on ppgod. Can he find another big engage like we saw last time?
The level 9 Alistar. Mole's there, pops a barrier. Zoom ready to go in for the engage. V5 in front of the pit. LvMao used the ultimate. The quickness burn onto the Olaf, who's right there as he has to flash away. The call the Forge God used. Killer Instinct in the backline. But it is the Dragon secured by the Nidalee in the end of the day. So JDG have quelled the retribution while Y4 is on the back end. JDG going to get knocked up. It's a flash burn. Immediately keeps it airborne by Y4. Zoom, the shockwave. The Wombo combo set up by Orianna and Aatrox. Triple given over. xiye and Zoom have just nailed the fight.
Honestly, V5 getting a bit too ahead of themselves, though. The Dragon went down. V5 had picked up some kills. All their health bars were low. They didn't really need to keep going forward, especially because LokeN needed to... not LokeN, I'm sorry. Y4 needed to keep stacking up those style points. And JDG just profiting massively off of V5's over-ambition. Like you said there, Zoom performing massively nice shockwave coming in from xiye. And we're going to see here once again, it felt like the big thing with this fight was Zoom finding this flank angle, and it really made it awkward for V5 to find the right formation to fight, right? We're seeing Langx try to deal with Zoom, leaving the other side of V5 wide open for ppgod to get low. Y4 does find this first pickoff, as well as Kanavi picking up the Drake. But here, like I said, kind of awkward. Your Samira needs to stack up the style points once again. Zoom, incredibly strong, has the Gore Drinker, setting up for that massive combo and just leading to JDG winning that team fight.
Real big highlight plays in this series. That's what you love to see. You know, 2.5 item Orianna is doing quite a lot, and with the shockwave set up for Zoom, he's able to nail them down. 0-1 and 7 on this top laner. There's so much to talk about here, but I don't think we'll have time because Baron is the threat. V5 know they cannot give this over to JDG. And even if JDG aren't going to commit to it, just threatening right now with Aatrox off on the side with Teleport, who's almost level 16.
So now
my red buff.
See,
okay.
Yep, Zoom just going to go in and invade that one. Ooh. So at this point, right, we're potentially seeing if either side can find a pick, if Mole can hit some kind of sleepy trouble bubble, or we can see some kind of LvMao finding some kind of W into V5. But I was going to set up, JDG do have the power to start this Baron. Of course, they do have decent turn with the Rakan.
But maybe we should be looking for ppgod again, as you said, on the flank. But it is LvMao to start off. Killer Instinct in the backline. Y4's dead. Lyric, I repeat, Y4 is dead. But it is a response for xiye going down as well. A 1-for-1 in the battle start while Zoom is chasing up Weiwei. Re-engage started, but the trouble bubble perfect as LvMao gets chunked down hard. And ppgod takes him down even harder. It's only cowbell from this point on, but I don't know if heaven sells you any, because JDG with that are going to turn back to Baron and keep doing this bad boy.
JDG increasing the gold lead, already at 5k, going to pick up the Baron and potentially start the siege. But Langx is TPing in. V5 don't want to give this one up. Mole also having the smite.
Call the Forge God not available, but LokeN's going to shred through this. Remember, he went for the Kraken Slayer here, Lyric, so he's going to shred this Takers over the wall. That Paddle Star not going to connect. He goes in for the Smite steal, but Mole can't get it. Worth an effort here. As Zoe mains XD across the world, it is JDG who get the Baron as well.
Zoom has just been way too hard to deal with for V5's comp. Samira loving to get into the middle of that fight, but hey, if you're jumping head first into this massive Aatrox with all the sustain, is quite hard to deal with. And here we're going to see once again, LvMao finding the knockup, getting the plasma stack for the Kai'Sa, and the synergy between LokeN and LvMao is just so clean. LokeN going in for the aggressive play. They kill Y4 instantly, like you said, and they're able to find some more picks in the backline. Sure, LvMao does go down, but they pick off Weiwei as well. ppgod then left in an awkward spot, gets picked off too, and it leads to the Baron play coming in for JDG.
And hey, Zoom finally got a kill, Lyric. After all these fights where he's been paramount to the success, Zoom got his first kill and 10 assists in his pocket as well. Good to see, but I want everyone to look at the items in Kanavi while we focusing on the Baron and item choices across the board. There are 23 stacks in the Magi's. There are 23 stacks on this Nidalee, so someone like Y4, if he gets hit with a spear and he's not able to press W in time, he will get near one shot.
And we need to remember that stacks now give 5 AP to where before they only gave 3, so getting a lot more value out of this Magi's than in the previous patches.
As JDG with the Baron now being very proactive. Inner turret getting threatened with Zoom actually grouping up with the rest of the team. It's xiye in the side lane who's pushing down bottom against this Ornn. And remember, Ornn doesn't have that much MR outside of the Sunfire Aegis, so smart lane positioning here, Lyric, as JDG wants some more. Okay,
Ooh,
Zoom is caught out in rotation. First mistake, but goes into World Ender. It's Gore Drinker Aatrox, who is now kind of at half health again. Heals up a bit more with the Q, and they don't care. Call the Forge God going to be used as Zoom's coming out of the World Ender. ppgod for the re-engage. Searing charge, he gets knocked up, but the Shockwave on the back end has done enough. While Whitefall may still be alive, he's popped into the rest of the team. JDG, team fighting kings again. I don't know, but I do know they're going for the semifinals.
Zoom, Kanavi, LvMao, the key members stepping up big. xiye with a great performance. And LokeN so confident with these Kai'Sa ultimates. You love to see it. And again, just great showing overall from JDG.
V5 outclassed here. They put up a valiant effort, but this game was about Zoom in particular. This game was about how this Aatrox took over the fights and became an unkillable Demon King. The Demon Kill on the top lane this time is Zoom. Does JDG make it to the semifinals in the Demacia Championship 3-1?
We need to remember that Zoom was also just so
Successful outcome. ppgod had some shining moments there, and as a support, he's really flourishing in the LPL.
I definitely say V5's problem isn't necessarily their individual skill, right? They're not necessarily at the like S tier level of like a lot of the legends we have, like Rookie, like Knight, you know, Uzis, players like this. They're definitely in the upper echelon. It's about ironing out those kinks of playing as a team, figuring out some stuff with, again, side lane control, setting up for objectives, things that come.